Hello, and welcome to the Eating Well webinar for Bolder, Healthier Workplace Champions. My name is Chloe, and I'm a Public Health Officer at Birmingham City Council. In this presentation, we will be covering eating well, looking at how you can eat well yourself and how you can support others within your workplace to do the same. As many people know, eating well can sometimes be a lot easier said than done. For lots of us, the food environment in which we live makes it harder for us to make healthier food choices. So, for example, we have factors such as how close we live to supermarkets, takeaways, and fast food outlets, and this can make unhealthy food options the easiest choice for us to make. Whether it's the content of the food, the portion size, or even the risk of the food having been stored unsafely, it can be difficult to eat well, even with the best of intentions. We also now have access to ultra processed foods, and these include packaged baked goods and snacks, fizzy drinks, sugary cereals, and ready meals which contain food additives. These foods often contain high levels of sugar, fat, and salt, but lack in vitamins and fibre. Studies have shown an association between eating these foods and risk of several health outcomes, such as obesity and cardiovascular disease. In this webinar, we will discuss why and how we can eat that little bit better. I'm now going to play a video from the World Health Organization, which describes some of the challenges we face and gives a brief introduction as to how we can eat more healthily.
We live in a world where undernutrition and obesity can exist side by side in the same country, home, or even person. Foods high in sugars, salt, and/or unhealthy fats are leading to unhealthy diets and are one reason why children may not be growing healthily, while causing other people to develop overweight or obesity. The consumption of unhealthy diets is heavily influenced by marketing. Easy access is fueling this new nutrition reality, but thankfully, change towards a healthier future is possible. By having a sustainable healthy diet made up of a variety of foods that are safe for consumption, we can promote health and have better abilities to fight illness. How do we do this? Good nutrition for women during pregnancy and for children in their first 1,000 days of life, including breastfeeding, sets them up for healthy adulthood and future generations. We should eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, pulses, nuts and seeds, and less sugary drinks and foods high in sugars, salt and unhealthy fats. The less of these foods we buy, the more the food industry will be encouraged to produce foods that contribute to healthy diets. We can also call on our leaders to make the right decisions so that every person, everywhere, can afford and access good nutrition. When people like you and me, industries and governments work together to make positive changes, we can create a healthier world.
So, why do we need to eat well? We can probably all agree that eating a healthy, balanced diet is a good thing for all of us. Following a healthy, balanced diet helps us to make sure that our bodies get all of the nutrients that we need to work well from day to day. And it can also reduce the risk of diseases like heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and some types of cancer in the long term. Keeping active and eating a healthy, balanced diet can also help you to maintain a healthy weight. Now, I think it's really important to remember that there is no one size fits all healthy diet, and it is not just about eating less sugar, salt, or saturated fat, but also thinking about what we should be eating more of. So, for example, fruits, vegetables, and fibre. Everyone is different, and the principles of healthy eating can be adapted to suit you. I'll go into more detail about what makes a diet healthy later on in this webinar. There are a number of different factors which can make it harder for people to eat well, and this will vary from person to person. So, for example, we have fixed factors, which are social factors out of someone's control. We have factors to do with food skills and knowledge, whereby some of us may have a lack of understanding or awareness of what healthy eating is and not have access to the correct information on how to eat healthily. Furthermore, we also have factors which influence our food choices. So, for example, we have preferences for food and also consolidated habits which we have developed over time, which can then influence our food choices. I'm now going to go into these factors in a little bit more detail. So, with the cost of food and other household bills rising, many people are facing the prospect of food insecurity. Now, food insecurity is a term used to describe when someone is unable to access or afford nutritious and safe food, which is also socially and culturally acceptable, in order to live a happy, healthy, and active life. Evidence shows that food insecurity is bad for people's diets and physical and mental health. Here in Birmingham, there are a number of food projects, including food banks, food pantries and clubs, community cafes, and on street feeding projects who are supporting Birmingham residents who are experiencing food insecurity. Access to shops selling healthy foods may also be a barrier. So, for example, a lack of travel options to supermarkets can make the weekly shop long and costly, and in conjunction with busy schedules, we can end up not having enough time to prepare lunches for school or work. Reliance on others to prepare food can also be tricky. So, for example, we may rely on a household member to prepare our meals for a number of reasons, and this can result in the choice element of what we eat being removed. Developing cooking skills as a family can be used as a tool to express our care and to spend quality time with one another, and we can use it to reduce our dependency on pre-prepared food. In addition, in our schools, hospitals, and workplaces, we do not have control over the food offer available, and actual material things can also be a barrier too, such as what kitchen facilities are available and having a big enough freezer and fridge to store things in. Cooking and eating well is possible with limited facilities. So, for example, we can cook some meals just using a kettle or a microwave, such as porridge or a bean chilli. Confusion around healthy eating guidance can lead to misinformed food choices, and with so much healthy eating advice out there, it's not a surprise that it can become confusing. By understanding more about how to choose food, prepare food, and what the correct guidance is, we can make better informed choices about what we eat. A lack of cooking skills and reduced food preparation knowledge are significant barriers to the production of home cooked meals. The consequence can be eating out frequently and also avoiding cooking in our own kitchens. Having this knowledge can help towards behaviour change. Increased nutrition knowledge and showing simple ways of preparing healthy food may lead to improvements in the desire and ability to prepare healthy and well balanced meals. I will explain the UK's healthy eating guidance in a bit more detail later on. A number of these factors can also affect our food choices, such as taste preferences, cultural influences in cooking, family units who prefer different foods, children or family members who don't like healthy food, and also our preferences for unhealthy food and takeaways. When sharing a home or space, eating habits become affected. Offering input in meal plans for the family unit can help to reach a compromise. So, with children, it often helps to let them choose the base to the meal and then tweak the side dishes a little. And it's really important that we try to get to know the family eating habits. It could be a slow process, but it does bring longevity in healthy eating. There are also lots of recipes available to make healthier versions of takeaway meals at home. Nutrition information labels can help you to choose healthier food options by telling us how much fat, salt, and sugar they contain. Many supermarkets and food manufacturers now also highlight the energy, fat, saturated fat, sugars, and salt content on the front of the packaging, alongside the reference intake for each of these. Colour-coded nutritional information tells you quickly if the food has high, medium, or low amounts of fat, saturated fat, sugars, and salt. So if we look at the different colours, red means high, amber means medium, and green means low. So in general, a food or drink that has all or mostly green on the label is a healthier choice. Amber means neither high nor low, so you can eat foods with all or mostly amber on the label most of the time. But any red on the label means that the food is high in fat, saturated fat, salt, or sugars, and should limit your intake of these food and drinks. Try to eat these foods less often and in smaller amounts. Now on this slide, we can see a picture of the Eat Well Guide. And the Eat Well Guide is what we use here in the UK, and it shows how much of what we eat overall should come from each food group to achieve a healthy and balanced diet. The current UK guidance recommends that we eat at least 5 portions of different fruits and veg per day. So a portion is 80 grams of fresh, canned, or frozen fruit and vegetables, 30 grams of dried fruit, 150 ml of juice or a smoothie, where only one portion of this counts, and 80 grams of beans and pulses, and only one portion of beans and pulses counts towards your 5 a day too. Fruit and veg should account for about 1/3 of what we eat per day. Dried, frozen, tinned, as well as fresh fruit and veg, all included. If we move on to starchy foods, these are a really important part of our diet. They should make up about 1/3 of all of the food that we eat. You don't have to avoid or restrict them because they're fattening. Instead, be aware of the total amount of starch that you eat, and cutting out one food group, such as carbohydrate, can cause dietary imbalances. Starchy foods include bread, potatoes, rice, and pasta. And when choosing these foods, the whole grain option is always the healthier choice. Moving on to dairy products and calcium fortified alternatives, these are the body's main source of calcium, which is necessary for the growth, development, and maintenance of healthy bones and teeth. Dairy products and alternatives are also a source of protein. These include milk, cheese, cream, and milk-based sauces and yogurts, and these can have quite a high saturated fat content. Fat reduced options are recommended, and to also have these in small quantities. Protein is really important for us too. Animal products such as meat, fish, eggs, and dairy are good sources of dietary protein. Meat and fish also provide the body with a form of iron, which is easy for us to absorb. Protein also comes from foods that are of plant origin. So we've got pulses, nuts, and seeds, which are all high in protein. Pulses are a very good meat alternative, whether or not you are a vegetarian or vegan. So if you do eat meat, it's still really good to include these in your diet as a source of protein. Some fat in our diet is essential, but most of us eat a little bit too much of it. So plant-based oils like vegetable, rapeseed, and olive oil are rich in unsaturated fat, so they can help lower cholesterol and reduce the risk of heart disease. Lower fat unsaturated spreads are a good alternative to buy instead of butter. Now you can use the Eat Well guides in practical activities within your workplace to understand the amount of each food group in their typical diet. So for example, you can get resources such as Eat Well maps with cards, which we can use to place foods within the different food groups. Other healthy eating activities include Change for Life tools, cooking classes, label reading, food demonstrations, and food tasters. Now, the original Eat Well guide does not include food from all cultural backgrounds. In this slide, we have included images of the Eat Well guide based on cultural variations in diet, such as the South Asian Eat Well guide and the African and Caribbean Eat Well guide. Anyone with special dietary requirements or medical needs might want to check with a registered dietitian on how to adapt the Eat Well guide to meet their individual needs. Furthermore, the Eat Well guide does not apply to children under the age of 2 because they have different nutritional needs. And between the ages of 2 and 5, children should gradually move to eating the same foods as the rest of the family in the proportions shown within the Eat Well guide. I'm now going to move on to some information about food and eating disorders. Now, an eating disorder is a mental health condition where you use the control of food to cope with feelings and other situations. Unhealthy eating behaviours may include eating too much or too little, or worrying about your weight or body shape. Anyone can get an eating disorder, but teenagers between 13 and 17 are those who are mostly affected. The most common eating disorders are anorexia nervosa, which is where you try to control your weight by not eating enough food, exercising too much, or doing both. Bulimia involves losing control over how much you eat and then taking drastic action to not put on the weight. Binge eating disorder involves eating large portions of food until you feel uncomfortably full. And other specified feeding or eating disorder. Someone is diagnosed with this if their symptoms do not exactly fit within the expected symptoms for any specific eating disorders, and this is the most common of the eating disorders. Getting help when you are suffering with an eating disorder is really important. If someone you know needs advice, please contact your GP or Forward Thinking Birmingham. Forward Thinking Birmingham is a service that offers mental health assessments and treatment for young people aged 0 to 25, and this includes treatment for eating disorders, so it's really important that you reach out to a professional. So what can we do to help? This is where the Bolder Healthier Champions come in. Unhealthy foods are commonly associated with eating outside the home, which can include the workplace. There are several potential reasons for the workplace being a barrier to eating well, such as co-workers can influence each other to overeat and eat unhealthily because they want to socialise and fit in. Similarly, if co-workers bring in unhealthy food to share, some may feel tempted or even compelled to eat it. Snacking is a common coping mechanism for stress, which is often experienced in the workplace. And unhealthy foods, such as takeaways and pre-packaged items, are a lot more convenient to eat at work due to maybe the kitchen facilities that are available and the amount of time and availability that employees have during their working day. Promoting healthy eating at work could be so much more than a 5-a-day poster on the notice board. The workplace is ideal to raise awareness, improve understanding, and increase an interest in changing eating habits for life. Watch this video from the British Heart Foundation about healthy eating and weight management at work.
First of all, we started doing a slimathon within the depot, trying to encourage people to lose weight, eat healthily, and we've progressed from there. We've got a gym on site now, which our colleagues, they only pay £3 a month to use the gym. We also have a free fruit day once a month, funded by the depot to try and encourage people to eat healthier. It's very popular. Like I said, it was only a small initiative that we started, but it's exploded. They're really keen for it.
Heart health and stress and, you know, obviously healthy eating and exercise were quite high on the agenda of the workforce. So we're actually just bringing in provider services to try to meet those needs.
Because it represents a £5 chunk of fat.
A good example is the South Tyneside health trainers can actually come in and do mini MOTs on the staff.
So 124 over 65.
We use the British Heart Foundation literature at our drop-ins and promotional events and any other kind of event that we're doing. John, my colleague, was using the £5 fat. People like those kind of things. You know, they underestimate what £5 of fat is. And then when they see it and they feel it and they hold it, it gives them a bit of encouragement to get rid of that fat.
By people trying the healthy buffets, it's giving people ideas what to eat food that they wouldn't normally eat. It's given us the confidence to put it on for the menu, for it to be cost effective, because people are requesting it, they're eating it, and it's turned out to be one of the most popular sellers on the menu.
And we're also setting up a Shape Up weight management group where we can come in and deliver a 6 to 8 week weight management group to staff, all about the balance of good health, the importance of healthy eating and increasing physical activity. And we've also been able to set up the Healthy Boxes scheme where staff can actually purchase a healthy box where they get local fresh vegetables and fruit delivered.
We found a council initiative providing these healthy boxes at a very reasonable price that will deliver to the office on a weekly basis. So we just pay up on the Tuesday and the boxes are delivered the following Friday.
So I'm just going to chop up this pepper now to go in the omelette.
Today we made a Spanish omelette and they saw what went in the actual recipe and how it was a complete meal, it was healthy, quick to make, and then they were able to ask us some questions and they've gone away with recipes, they've tried new food and they start to tell you the sorts of behaviour they've changed in terms of their health and lifestyle. So yeah, it's brilliant.
The potato and onion, very nice.
If you can get somebody whose life may have changed, you can get that person then to spread the word to all the other people in the workplace.
I was never a fruit eater until work introduced it to us. I've now got a taste for it and I'm beginning to buy fruit every day and I feel a lot healthier on it.
So what impact can unhealthy food have on our productivity? So unhealthy foods are commonly associated with short attention spans and slow information processing because saturated fats can lead to the production of hormones that decrease alertness. A study conducted at Brigham Young University displayed employees with unhealthy diets as 66% more likely to report a productivity loss compared to healthy eaters. Hydration is key to maintaining our cognitive function. Due to the high percentage of water in our brains, dehydration can lead to fatigue, lack of concentration, and inaccuracies within our work. Food can also have a really big impact on people's mood, particularly healthy foods, because they can contain an array of vitamins and minerals. Healthy foods have been associated with increased levels of happiness, morale, and creativity around the workplace. On the other hand, unhealthy diets can lead to irritability, stress, and depression. Network Rail launched an initiative designed to support the Western Route's predominantly male workforce to increase physical activity and reduce unhealthy eating habits such as frequent snacking. Their drive to support mental health and address fatigue, obesity, and sleep-related issues among its 3,000 employees, including shift workers in particular, since shift work comes with specific well-being challenges and health risks. You can read more about this initiative by following the link on the slide. Eating well can also influence absences at work, with 2% of working days being lost due to sickness absence in the West Midlands. Obese employees take an average of 4 extra sick days per year compared to healthy weight employees. And eating well can help to avoid future health concerns that can lead to time off, such as strengthening a person's immune system. As more employers embrace flexible working, more of us are now working from home. This presents opportunities as well as other challenges for workplace initiatives to encourage eating well. As an employer, it's really important that you understand all of your staff's working patterns. Ensure that everyone is included in communications related to the workplace and well-being, and also emphasise the importance of disconnecting from the workplace when they are not working. Shift work is associated with a higher BMI, prevalence of obesity, and other health problems. People who work shifts sometimes skip meals, eating irregularly, eating unhealthy food, and it may make it harder to keep up a regular exercise schedule. To help shift workers stay healthy with an irregular work schedule, encourage those on shift work to eat small, frequent meals, choose foods that are easily digestible, such as pasta, fruit, and vegetables, avoid sugary foods, and to also drink plenty of fluids to keep them hydrated. So what can you do as an employer? We can create healthy recipe newsletters offering evidence-based information and signpost employees to support. Partner with local health organisations and cooking schools to offer employee discounts on classes and consultations. Offer monthly lunch and learns to educate employees on nutrition topics whilst they eat their lunch, which could include bringing in a qualified nutritionist. Take part in health awareness dates / challenges such as Fizz-Free February. Ask your employers what they would like to see in the workplace to help them eat healthier. This could include wellbeing champions who you work with to identify what your employees want. There are also physical changes that you can make within your workplace. So removing vending machines or providing healthier alternatives to foods in pre-existing machines. Offering free fruit that is easy for people to access. Improving the kitchen facilities, such as providing microwaves so people can heat food up. Enforce or extend lunch breaks that are away from the employee's physical area of work. Encourage employees to bring in packed lunches. Start water drinking challenges. Consider wellness apps and also provide free water facilities such as water fountains. It would be great to hear from you what you are already doing to promote eating well in your workplace. Your role as a bolder, healthier champion is to talk about the effect that eating well can have in our communities, to encourage and support us to eat well. Sharing these important health messages by distributing the information you have learned into communities can help spread awareness. Connect people to the resources that can help them or someone they know, whether this is on a website or through a helpline organisation. And finally, please feed back to us. Is our information useful? What other information do you think would help? And what else can we do to get the message across? Is there a particular topic you would like us to focus on, for example? Now, when talking to people within our community, it should always be done with the intention of helping connect people to the right support, not taking on the responsibility of offering professional guidance. Always use approved information and please try to remain neutral. Try not to get personally involved with the people you're trying to help and make sure that we're signposting them to the professional support that they need. So what questions should we be asking people within our workplace? For example, we could ask, does your workplace encourage healthy food options in the staff canteen? What options would you like to see? Does a shift worker have the time and opportunity to eat at least one warm meal a day? Does an apprentice have access to healthy meal options at college? It's really important that we try and spot people who may need your support, share the messages and encourage eating well within your workplace, and promote these webinars within your network to get that information out there. Now I'm going to move on to a bit of a case study here, and sometimes you can help someone best by putting yourself in their position so that they don't feel judged by the choices that they make. So Ethan is a bolder, healthier workplace champion and comes across his colleague Raja in the work canteen. She's grabbing a quick sandwich before going back to her desk. So Ethan says, "Hi Raja, our department's so busy at the moment. I don't know about you, but I barely have time to eat lunch these days." She replies saying, "I know how you feel, Ethan. This is my best chance to have a hot meal because it doesn't seem worth cooking for one in the evening, but I feel bad taking my full lunch break when we're so busy." Ethan says, "I live on my own too, and I know a good website with some quick and easy recipes. I cook in the evening and then bring leftovers to work the next day and warm them up for my lunch." Raja replies that this sounds like a really good idea and that she can have a proper meal in the evening and also a decent lunch the following day. "Could you please send me the link to the website, please?" So this shows how just a small signposting to a website for easy recipes can help someone to have healthier lunch and dinner options. Another thing we can do is find out if someone would be open to receiving support using open questions with the ask, advise and act model. So the example here is for a colleague who's living alone. So firstly, we ask, can you get all the food you need from the local shops? Do you feel confident cooking a meal for yourself? And are you aware of the government's healthy eating guidelines? Following this, we could then provide some advice to the person. So there are local services that could help. Do you know where to access these? Do you know that there are healthy and simple recipes for one person? And that there's a lot of government recommendations and information online where you can access these. And finally, we would then act. So you could suggest local pantries or similar resources mentioned in this presentation. You could signpost them to cooking courses such as Bags of Taste, and you could also encourage them to read the Eat Well guide or watch the Eat Well guide video from earlier. Bolder Healthier Champions do the very important job of connecting people to the resources available, whether through web pages, services, helplines, or voluntary organisations. So I can go through a few resources that employers can use, and on this slide there is also a link to access these. So a booklet produced by the Public Health Agency to support workplaces. There is a thorough toolkit to help employers achieve a healthier workplace environment. And there is also a link to find more tips to encourage eating well at work. Now, an app/website that I think is really helpful is called Whisk, and Whisk is a app and website where anyone can access recipes for free. Whisk includes a meal planner, which makes it easier to achieve goals because you can plan out your meals for the week. You can set up communities to share healthy recipes with those in your workplace. So you could maybe have a workplace community where you all share recipes that you've made during that week. And Whisk also is really helpful for working out how healthy a recipe is. So it calculates a health score for each recipe with a score of 7 being the minimum to be classed as healthy, and therefore within your workplace community that you set up, it would allow you to pick and recommend recipes based on this score. Another service that can support people is Healthy Start, and this is a scheme which helps families to buy healthy food and milk. If eligible, people can be sent a Healthy Start card with money on it that can be used in some UK shops. The card can be used to buy plain liquid cow's milk, fresh, frozen and tinned fruit and vegetables, fresh, dried and tinned pulses, and also infant formula, which is based on cow's milk. The card can also be used to collect Healthy Start vitamins and vitamin drops for babies and young children. So Healthy Start vitamins are for eligible pregnant people, women with a child under 12 months, and children aged 4 years and under who are on the Healthy Start scheme. In Birmingham, we also have warm welcome spaces, which are a network of free to use warm welcome sites available across Birmingham to provide free, warm and welcoming spaces where people can come to take part in activities, access services and also get practical advice and support, as well as meet members of their community. The services at each space will vary, but may include information on further support and available guidance, opportunities to participate in activities and learn new things, free internet access, computers and charging points, and a friendly environment to connect with others within the community. There are also a number of budgeting resources, and the links for these are on the page. So we've got TV programmes like Eat Well for Less. Martin Lewis provides a lot of advice on money saving tips. Jack Monroe is a really good person to follow for budget recipes. And also there's a link here for an A to Z of food stories to help us to reduce food waste. Something else that's really important is to ensure that people are aware of all the benefits that they are eligible for. And there's a link on this slide to a benefit calculator. About £15 billion of benefits remain unclaimed each year, and it's really important that people are made aware of what help and support that they are eligible for. Now, the cost of living crisis has made it much more difficult for many people in Birmingham to afford food. And if this is something you're experiencing, there are lots of different ways you can get food cheaply or for free. So food banks provide a food parcel for at least 3 days for free. And these food banks use a voucher system. And you can get a voucher from different services, including advice services, social services, support workers in schools, law centres, social centres, GPs, and also the Citizens Advice Bureau. On this slide, there are also links to a food bank voucher request form and a find a food bank site. So if anybody you know or yourself is struggling, please direct people to those links. There are also a number of other local services, such as food clubs and food pantries, where you can get cheaper food, and community cafes, where you can get a free or cheap hot meal. So the Active Wellbeing Society run the Big Feed project, which brings people together over food by providing a safe, welcoming space at community cafes. People can enjoy a hearty meal whilst meeting and spending time with others in their community. And the cafes offer free meals and welcome optional contributions such as donating time, money or skills. Food Cycle provide meat-free meals using surplus food in a number of locations in Birmingham. Olio and the Too Good To Go app allow you to buy unsold food from shops and restaurants at a reduced price. An Incredible Surplus intercept food and other usable materials that would otherwise go to waste from supermarkets, restaurants and other sources, and they provide these to individuals and community organisations on a pay-as-you-feel basis. And finally, your local pantries, so these ask for small weekly fees, and in return you can get a collection of food items that are worth around £15 to £20. So you can pay a lot less for the amount of food that you actually get at your local pantries. On this slide, there are links to all of those organisations as well. I've also provided here basically a directory of resources and links to all of the organisations on here. So we've got NHS resources, and this includes Eat Well and Better Health resources. They're available to provide information on getting a healthy, balanced diet. There's also links to healthy eating places in Birmingham and the NHS Food Scanner app, which can help you to understand food labels. There's local resources, so Health for Life is a community programme which aims to make a sustained difference to healthy lifestyles in local communities across Birmingham. We have Food Cycle, the Active Wellbeing Society, Incredible Surplus, local pantries and whisks, which I have already touched upon. There are also the budgeting resources that I talked about, the food bank lists as well. So this is a really helpful page that if someone asks you a question and says they're struggling in one of these areas, you can then signpost them to these links so that they can get help. And this page carries on to this slide here, and this provides the link to eating disorder services and resources for employees. So the eating disorder services, we have Forward Thinking Birmingham and the Birmingham and Solihull Mental Health NHS Foundation Trust. And there's also links to the resources for employers, which I touched upon earlier in the webinar. You are the eyes and ears of the community, and you can tell us where more help is needed and how best to provide it. And we really want to hear from you. Please email or connect with us through social media at any time. The email is for the team is on this slide here, and it is bolderhealthierchampions@birmingham.gov.uk. We really hope that you're enjoying these sessions and enjoying promoting positive health and supporting your community to improve their health and well-being. We want to thank you for volunteering to be a Bolder Healthier champion. Your role as a Bolder Healthier champion is to share the information into your communities to encourage and support health and well-being. Our champions are advocates for important health messages in Birmingham by distributing this information into a wide range of communities and networks. And finally, I'd just like to say a big thank you for joining us today. We really couldn't do this without you. And if you have any questions for me, please email the team and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much for listening.